Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Today we have six-time Grand Slam champion Bruno Soares on. Bruno, welcome.
Thank you very much, Will. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We met briefly at Indian Wells, and you were super nice. We chatted for several minutes there in the Indian Wells Tennis Garden, and I was excited to talk to you and have you on the show. And typically, what I do when I have somebody on is the first thing I'll do is I'll type in Google and then type in your name and just see what
Yeah.
comes up, see if there's been anything going on in the news. So I looked through several things, and um, I think the first question I want to ask you is, how was the disco party this weekend?
Is that on Google? Really?
Well,
Uh,
it linked to your Instagram, and you posted a picture of you
okay.
and some friends at a disco
Yeah.
party.
Yeah. It was amazing, actually. It was a good friend of mine. He was
Okay.
getting married on the Saturday, but also his birthday was a couple weeks ago. So he ended up doing a whole weekend of partying, and the theme for the Friday party, which was his birthday, was a disco party. So it was an intense weekend. That's all I can say. But amazing, a lot of good stuff, good energy, good friends. It was very nice.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the picture on Instagram looked like you had a really good costume and it was a good time.
Yes, yeah, all tennis players there, and
Oh, really? Okay.
Andre Sá, former tennis player from
Uh-huh.
Brazil. My coach is the one with the big wig, and
Uh-huh.
also the guy getting married is a former player. He played for Duke, Bruno Soares. So a lot of tennis history on this weekend.
Nice. Tennis and disco. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So where are you now? Where are you talking to us from?
I'm back home in Belo Horizonte this weekend. The parties they were in São Paulo, but I got back last night and
Okay.
back on my normal tennis routine here and working routine as well.
Okay, perfect. So we've got the US Open coming up in about a month, maybe 5 weeks away. What are your plans between now and then? Do you have, are you going to play Canada and Cincinnati?
Yeah. So yes, playing full summer is starting in Washington D.C. So this Thursday
Okay.
I'm on my way to Washington,
Hmm.
playing Washington, Canada, Cincinnati. Winston-Salem is always a question mark depending on results and how we're feeling. And
Hmm.
then the US Open. Very excited. It's a great part of the year for me. I really enjoy hard court. I really enjoy the US summer.
Yeah.
I really enjoy those tournaments. It's a place that I've had a lot of success in the past. So yeah, looking forward for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at your results for your career, and it looks like the US Open for some reason has been kind of your most successful tournament. You've got
Yeah,
uh, three men's Grand Slam doubles titles, three mixed, and two of those three on both sides were at the U.S. Open. And then you made the finals
yeah.
last year as well. Why do you think the U.S. Open has been so good for you?
Uh, I mean, I think there's a little bit of everything. I mean, first of all, and most important is the conditions there. Quite
Hmm.
warm. It's a medium fast hard court most of the time. And I say most of the time because they resurface every year, and some years it's lower
Yeah.
fast than others. But most of the time, they usually medium fast, a low bounce, and humid place, hot. Uh, I like these conditions. It's probably my best. And other than that, a lot of the atmosphere, the vibe on the
Hmm.
tournament, a lot of Brazilians, usually great crowds for us.
Yeah.
And the city, my favorite city in the world. I love New
Yeah.
York. I love the madness of the city. I'm a big city guy, so I love being around there. So I think it's just a good combination of everything. Like I said, most important part it's how tennis is played. But I think everything that goes off court and around that makes you feel good and brings good energy and good vibe towards everything that you do over there. So I think it's a good combination of all that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very fun tournament. Yeah, when I spent time in Brazil, it's been like 10 years at this point, but I remember every time I would tell someone I'm from the US, everyone seems to love New York City. They all say it's my
Yeah,
favorite city in the world, favorite city in the world, even
yeah,
more so than other countries I found. Um,
yeah.
so I wanted to go back a little bit. So how did you get started in tennis? What's kind of your story from as a child getting into tennis and then to where you are
Yeah,
now?
it's a little bit interesting because I lived in Iraq from
Okay.
the first 6 years of my life. I was born in Brazil, in Belo Horizonte, my city that I am right now.
Hmm.
And my dad, he was a civil engineer at that time, working for a big Brazilian group that got a job over there. And this company sent a lot of, Brazilians to do this work.
Hmm.
So my mom was pregnant, so she waited for me to be born here in Brazil, and then we all moved. I mean, my dad was already there, but the rest of the family, me, my brother, my sister, we moved to Iraq when I was 2 months. So I spent the first 6 years of my life in Iraq. So
Okay.
during this time, when I was around five, my parents they played tennis for a very brief period of their time, but it was exactly the time that it was, almost five, and I was, going to the court to them and staying around, playing with the rackets and watching them play and waiting there.
Yeah.
And at this time, we're living in a camp. We're living in a big city, so literally just a camp. So it's quite small, very few people. So you're always around everyone. So I started kind of carrying the racket around, playing with the ball, and a couple months after that, we moved to Baghdad, which is the big city, and my parents we had a tennis court in the complex that we lived, and they had a coach over there. So my parents, I don't really remember if I asked or they put me into tennis.
Yeah.
So that's where I started, and from that point, I kind of fell in love with the game and never stopped. Never had a break, never got tired of it. So I was always
Yeah.
progressing, kept on, everywhere. We moved back from Iraq to Brazil and then moved a couple cities in Brazil. But first thing for me was, where I'm going to school and where I'm going to be, playing tennis. So
Okay.
tennis been part of my life since I'm five. I've moved everywhere because of my dad and then kind of moved a
Hmm.
lot because of tennis. But this is how I started. And yeah, like I said, I've never had a break of tennis since age five. It was always part of my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so I want to get into some kind of off-court routines and habits. So
Yeah.
let's say you're in the US Open semifinal. So that's usually played on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So let's say today's Wednesday. What would you be doing to prepare for your match for tomorrow? So what would you do for dinner? What time are you going to bed? Things like
Yeah.
that. What are kind of some of your routines?
So let's say my uh, tournament routine is very different than my practice routine, of course, back home. But tournament routine would be, let's put it before semifinal, like you asked. I think
Yeah.
before semifinals, I already played a lot of matches, a lot of tennis. So, I know exactly what's going on, how I'm feeling, how the court is played, opponents, how we
Hmm.
play, everything. So I would say the day before, it's really how I'm feeling physically. If we played a lot of three sets, if I'm playing, men's and mix,
Hmm.
so my practice would, kind of go around that. But I would say on average, I would be 1 hour on the court and 1 hour in the gym.
Okay.
And then, the intensity of that would just, vary accordingly with how I'm feeling, physically.
Sure.
It's not a day that you really have to put in a lot of work because, the work is there. So for me, way more important to be physically and mentally ready than, working a lot on something that, I already know how it's been playing.
Yeah.
Routine very similar to every day in terms of what I eat. I'm a big sushi guy, so most likely I'll
Okay.
get my sushi at night. I'm Brazilian. We don't have early dinners, so I'd say my dinner would be around 8:39 until 10 something. Go
Hmm.
back to the hotel, eat, chill a little bit. I usually go to bed. Can't really sleep early, so I'd say I'll go to bed in between 11:30, 12.
Hmm.
And then depends on the time of the match, what I'm gonna do in the morning or practice or anything. But the day before would be,
Yeah.
and every off day would be something like this. I would say in the beginning you practice more because you gotta, gonna get used to the conditions and everything. And
Yeah.
then as the tournament progress, you kind of adjust to how you're feeling and how much tennis you played in the last couple of days.
Okay. And for that off day practice, are you, it's only an hour. Are you working on specific things that you know you'll need to use against an opponent the next day? Like,
Yeah,
okay.
most likely 70% of this practice will be specifics.
Okay.
So what I would do is hit to the basics for a good 20-25 minutes,
Hmm.
and then the rest would be kind of working on, okay, am I playing a lefty, am I playing a big server, am I
Hmm.
returning more down the line, this guy's doing a lot of plays, do I have to work on my reading,
Yeah.
they're very solid from the back. We're playing two baseliners, so a lot of volley, a lot of first volleys.
Yeah.
So most of that, because most of the time I will know my opponent already,
Hmm.
especially before semifinals. I would probably know my opponent already, so I'm working on how to play. Like I said, if I'm in the semifinals, it's because I'm
Yeah.
playing good tennis. I'm doing something right. So for me, it's more important to work on these specifics, on the stuff that I will have to be very
Sure.
good next day to beat my opponent. And of course, preparing for the match. If you have a day, why would you wait the day of the match to start thinking about the opponents and what you got to do and how you play these guys? So
Yeah.
there's usually a lot of talk involved with Jamie and the coaches, and who are the guys, what are they doing well. You have a lot of information already because these guys also played 4 matches already, so you've watched a lot of them, so
Hmm.
you know what to do. So it's pretty much put it in the work to prepare uh, for this specific match.
Yeah. Are you looking at, let's say you play a team um, like Mektic and Pavic, for example, a team you've played several times, they've been around, you know a lot about them. How much
Yeah,
weight are you putting on your own experience playing against them versus what have they been doing in this tournament specifically?
I would say would go 50-50 pretty much.
Okay.
uh I mean, I think it carries a lot of weight, uh history.
Hmm.
So how many times we play them? How do they play against us? Have they
Hmm.
always played this way because they're successful? Do we feel that they're going to change because we've been beating them more than losing? And then the
Hmm.
rest is, how are they playing this tournament? Because I would say it will vary.
Yeah.
They might do something different on clay, they didn't do on hard, they didn't do on grass. So where we play them also really matters. So it would be a
Yeah.
combination of both because, okay, I've played them 4 times at the US Open. So I have a lot of record at the US Open. But no, I've played them
Yeah.
4 times, but two on clay, two on grass. First time we're gonna play on hard court at the US Open. Okay, makes a difference. Might
Yeah.
not be a big difference, but it makes a difference. So
Yeah.
very important to watch how they're playing, what they're doing, what's been working for them. How can we neutralize that? Okay, and then I mean, you got data from here, data from here. You gotta cross data and see. Okay, he's been, Mate is a lefty. He's been working on his wide serve, and that works really well against me. Couldn't really do anything, so he's been doing that as well. Okay, how
Yeah.
can I try something different tomorrow to avoid getting caught on his wide serve all the time, or kind of making him think different. So I would say it's 50-50.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, are you watching a lot of film on
Yes,
the
I
matches you
was.
do?
Yeah, that made my life a lot easier, the videos, because back in the days when I was playing with Alex Peya, we're very I'm a stat guy, so I'm visual, and I like to. I think one of my strengths is being able to adapt and kind of have different game styles if I have to.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so for me, knowing what the opponent's doing and how they're playing and what they're struggling with, it's a big part of my game because I feel like I can adapt to that and kind of be annoying and effective on my strategy. So when I was playing with Alex Peya, we were literally watching 3 4 matches a day, or every match, that every doubles they
Mm.
had a day at least a set, to have our own data, taking notes and doing. Now we have everything
Yeah.
in video, so it's easier. I'm
Yeah.
sitting in my hotel room, I'm just watching every point, and it's easier. But I'm a big video stat guy. I think makes a huge difference, and if you know how to work with that, it's very very important, very useful in your game, because we all have patterns, we all play
Mm-hmm.
different under pressure. We all have a favorite shot, a favorite serve, something that
Yeah.
we feel more confident with. So if you know those patterns from most of the players, you can really work around that and kind of you know work on getting into their head, at least by knowing that, making them aware that what are their routines, and favorite shots, and comfort zone, or the stuff that they will do under pressure. So for me, it was always a big part of my game.
Yeah. Yeah. That stuff is super powerful. Yeah. I work with it a lot as well and love to be able to know where teams like to serve on pressure points so that I can
Yeah,
kind of either either be ready for it or start to
yeah,
move that direction before they get into their emotions. So then
yeah,
they kind of see me and you can really kind of play with their mind a little bit.
exactly. Yeah, it's a mind game. So if you
Yeah.
can get in there, it's very very useful.
Yeah. So what about day of the match routines? Do you have any particular like warm up routine or anything that you like to do on a regular
No, I
basis?
mean,
Nothing
not
special.
no. Yes, I have my
Yeah.
own routine, but no, I usually, I'll start my day with my physio. So doing
Hmm.
my normal physio routine in the morning, kind of get the body ready. You always wake up feeling different, back's a little bit more stiff. So okay, get the
Hmm.
body going. A little bit of gym to start. Usually, 25 minutes, half an hour in the gym, doing a little bit of everything. So pretty much good stretch, something that I've done with the physio, but active stretches, abs, working a little bit of shoulder mobility and stuff,
Hmm.
and then going to the court, normal warm up. Usually 30 minutes. That's what we get. If we have the
Hmm.
chance, me and Jamie usually go a little bit more, but usually, on tournaments they give us half an hour, so we kind of have to, you know, do the whole warm up
Make
in,
that work.
and then
Yeah.
it's quite basics. Warm up, baseline volleys, reactions, serve, return, and we're ready. Most of the time, we already talked about the match the day before with our coaches, so that day
Hmm.
it's pretty much the last couple of thoughts, and then rest and wait for the match. I usually, I'm with my friends, coach or Jamie, or before the match, and then 45 minutes before I would go kind of to my side and relax, be on my own, just to kind of get the mind clear,
Yeah.
and then 15 minutes before I'll hit to the gym again, and just get the body ready to start the match.
Got it. Okay. And what is you talked about practice during a tournament. What does practice look like for you right now? Like when you're between tournaments, I'm sure you're on the court a little bit more than an hour. So
Yeah,
what does a typical practice look like?
I think for me, now I'm 40, uh, and honestly, the last 18 months been quite tough on my body.
Yeah.
I've always been very fortunate with that. Very few injuries on my career. Very
Hmm.
little pain usually. Like strong pain. You have pain every day, but like strong pain that limits you to do something.
Hmm.
So it's been quite tough for me the last 18 months. So I've been spending a lot of time in the physio room,
Okay.
yeah, the last year and a half, which
Okay.
is not nice, because it
Yeah.
takes a lot of hours on the court. So let's put it, on a healthy day, on a healthy swing,
Yeah.
off tournament, back home, I would go, uh, a lot of fitness, and tennis would be progressive depending on how many days I have to my traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So I start, let's put it, if I have 10 days, a block of 10 practice days,
Sure.
I'll do a lot of gym and little tennis, and this will go like this
Okay.
until the day of my first match.
Got
So
it.
usually when I'm back in Belo, for example, I'm going to Boston and I will arrive on Friday. So I would have at least 3 days practice there, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if I play Monday. So, my those 3 days I'll practice a lot of tennis and very few fitness, because the 7 days prior to that I'm doing a lot of fitness, and tennis would
Mm-hmm.
be progressive. So I would say, for the first 3 days I would go probably an hour and a half of tennis only, 2 hours as it progresses, and then most like the 2 days that I get there, I would go twice a day. And then
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday, it kind of gonna depend. If I play Monday, I'll take it easy. If I know that I'm not gonna play Monday, I'll have another
Twice a
uh,
day.
twice a day probably.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to say in DC because it's extremely hot, so sometimes it's tough to do the second
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
on a normal, not extreme condition, would be something that. And then the day before is the day that you take it easy. You go
Okay.
1 hour only, and then you rest. You rest for the match. So my preparation was always like this. I always enjoyed, and I felt for me that fitness was very important to go really, really strong when I'm back home. So I
Yeah.
would say I would go twice a day, every day until I travel.
Yeah.
And then tennis will progress and go up as the tournament approaches.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
I mean, different than preseason when it's a lot of hours for a long period of time. So, we're
Okay.
talking about 3 weeks of practicing, 2.5, 3 hours a day, but this is preseason. And then
Yeah.
during the season on off tournaments would be progressive.
Okay. And how much of that on-court time is spent doing drills versus playing a match versus working on serves and returns? Like how does it
Uh,
kind of divide up?
yeah, in Belo, it's 100% specifics.
Okay.
Never play matches here. Never.
Okay.
I don't know. Don't don't feel the need. I play a lot of tennis when I'm in tournaments.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, when I'm here, it's really about, especially because Jamie is also not here. Uh, for me, it's really the time that I have to work on the stuff that I have to improve
Yeah.
as an individual. And
Okay.
then when I'm together with Jamie, though, that's the time that I have to, improve as a team as well. So what are the stuff that we can do better? And when I'm back here, it's what is the stuff that I can do better, that I need to do better. So work on, wide serve and first volley down the line. Work on my net play when Jamie returns, when Jamie's serving,
Mm-hmm.
my positioning. This is so I would go a lot of specific, and I also do I like to do a lot of volume
Mm-hmm.
because when I go to tournaments, we do a lot of specifics and points. So when I'm here, I like to do a lot of volume. So usually
Okay.
a good, 20 minutes of my practice would be almost like a singles practice.
Yeah. Okay. And how
Yeah.
are you deciding which specific thing to work on? Or is it like my return was bad in that last tournament, so I'm going to work on that? Or is it I'm looking at data and I'm losing a lot of points when I have a backhand return or something else?
Both,
Yeah.
both. I think there's the overall routine, and I do this every day.
Yeah.
That regardless if I'm doing good or bad, I have to do this. So return, serve, first volley, the
Uh-huh.
reactions. This I gotta do it, and then I'll go into things that I'm not doing well, uh, and I work on that, and then I go on things that I might actually be doing well, but I'm not winning a lot of points, and I want to understand why. So
Mm.
sometimes, okay, I'm doing really well. I'm very good on my returns. Okay, I'm making 65% of first serve returns, which is amazing, but I'm only winning 20% of the points. And why? If I'm getting the ball in play 65% of the time, why am I only winning 20% of the time? Okay, it's my fault because my I'm missing a lot of second balls because I'm waiting for Jamie to touch the ball, and I'm forgetting to move, my feet myself and be ready for a second ball if I have to
Okay.
play. I'm returning and standing in the wrong position. I'm, whatever it is. So I will work on that as well. So I think it's a
Got
combination
it.
of both. Sometimes it'd be just poor returning. I got to improve my return, and I'm not
Yeah.
giving, Jamie the chance of, be effective and do his thing. And
Hmm.
sometimes I'm just not being good enough on the next ball, and you know, I got to work on that as well.
Got it. That makes sense. So I want to talk a little kind of strengths and weaknesses. So let's start with Jamie. What would you say is Jamie's biggest strength as a doubles player?
Net play.
Hmm.
I think nowadays, because the game of doubles changed quite a bit. I think he's got the
Hmm.
best volley in the world by far,
Hmm.
and he's an amazing net player. I think we got different types of net players. I think guys with amazing volleys that produces, you know, very good first volleys, but are not very good at the wall, not very good at reactions.
Hmm.
They're very good. I call that singles volleyer, that the guy that
Yeah.
has a great volley, playing to the other side, making the guy run and finish on the second volley. In
Hmm.
doubles, so many times you got to produce, an amazing first volley and, be ready at the wall because you're not going to win the point with a winner, because the court is,
Yeah.
it's smaller when you have two
Yeah.
guys covering that. So I think Jamie's net plays is the best in the game right now.
Hmm.
His volley is definitely the best, but he reads the game when he's at the net really
Hmm.
well. So he puts a lot of pressure and he creates a lot of stress in the opponents with that. Which, I mean, for me, it combines really well with my strength.
Yeah. Yeah, he does such a good job of creating just tiny windows for the other
Yeah,
team. It seems like
exactly.
one
So
small mistake he'll make you pay.
yeah, he's a guy that he so many times he wins the point by just moving to the right position, creating stress. And
Hmm.
this is a big part of the game, and big part of playing doubles is knowing how to move when you're not with the ball. So
Yeah.
way less than in singles. In singles got, anticipation, there's a lot of stuff, but I think in doubles way more because you can create way more stress in doubles.
What do you think is his biggest weakness as a doubles player?
I think his biggest weakness over time was his returns.
Okay.
Uh, it was something that he put a lot of hours into that. I think the biggest change in his career was understanding his way of returning. I think for
Hmm.
a long time he tried to be an aggressive returner and hit the ball, and the moment he understood and accepted that that wasn't his thing, like he wasn't
Yeah.
that kind of returner, and he started working on variety and his forehand return with the chip lob and the chip cross court. He became very effective with that.
Right.
I think that was his biggest weakness. Now I don't think it's a weakness. It's something that he built that into being either solid or even a strength.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something for people listening if you're struggling or returning. That's a really good point because
Yeah,
yeah, he did if you're struggling like taking, regular kind of big cuts at the return, one thing that he
yeah,
does so well is he steps forward and takes away time from the net player.
yeah,
So even though he's returning it
yeah,
slowly with that chip, the net player doesn't have any
yeah,
time because he's so
yeah,
far forward in the court.
yeah.
And then the
And
lob
also
return's great.
he creates stress also because they know most of the time he will come in behind the return.
Right.
So you got to
Return and
produce
volley.
something decent with the volleys. Otherwise, he just, he's on top of that. And so that also creates stress when you're serving and when you come in for the first volley. And
Hmm.
yeah, that's part of understanding your game style and knowing how to work with that. I mean, another big part of I think his the mental part of his game. He improved a lot. I think he was when
Hmm.
I first started playing against him. He wasn't even my partner. Played a long time against him
Yeah.
before his being on the same side as me. He was way more stressed. I think over the years he learned to be more composed, and that it was very good for him.
Yeah. What about yourself? What's your biggest strength and biggest weakness as a doubles player?
I think my biggest strength it's my ability to adapt and be consistent. Uh, I think my biggest weakness is not having anything extremely powerful, which is good that I don't have anything weak
Hmm.
that I consider a weakness.
Yeah.
But I think other than my returns that are above average, I think I'm an average guy on every category, which it's very good when you know how to use that.
Hmm.
Uh, but I'm a guy that in doubles I also need a good partner that works with me. I'm not that guy that will win the match by
Hmm.
myself. So I think my biggest strength with that, the ability to adapt to different players and be very consistent. I feel like I play on a high level on every surface condition and partner. But my biggest weakness is not having anything major, that I
Yeah.
can rely on and say, listen, if this shot is going in, I'm gonna win this match. I don't
Yeah.
have that. So I have to work a lot with stats and strategy and being smart on the court.
Interesting. Yeah. So there's nothing for people to really exploit, but um,
Yeah,
yeah, you
but
don't have.
also, yeah, I also don't have anything that they're gonna see. So like, whoa, we really have to avoid that. The only thing
Yeah.
that so many times I can make a huge difference, but they can't avoid it is my return because they have to serve to me. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think also, I mean, my mental part, I think, was always a strength. I was always
Sure.
very, composed, calm. I think I bring kind of balance to the team on my partners looking at me and seeing that I'm quite steady with that, and I keep my ground under pressure. I think I'm a guy that plays well under pressure, and so I
Hmm.
think the mental part of the game was always a good strength of mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree. When I've watched you play in person, uh, probably more than any other player, I feel like you're very like zen on the court, and you're very
Yeah,
like kind of even keel, and
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. But this is yeah, but this was something that I've learned with time, and
Mhm.
I think it had a huge impact on my game because I was more agitated in the past, and
Mm.
with time I realized that everything that it took me off my Zen mode,
Mhm.
uh, either up or down, I was not playing good. I couldn't be too hyped, too pumped, too excited
Yeah.
because I wasn't playing my best, and every day that was complaining too much. Also, I was completely out of the thing.
Yeah.
So that worked, but it was good because it goes well with my personality. I'm a very, calm, laid back guy off court. So it's basically translating, my personality into the court and learning, how to play with that. So, for the last 10, 12 years on tour, I was really able to kind of understand that and be very calm and understand, listen, okay, no need to panic now. Let's work,
Yeah.
let's keep that because, this is going to be beneficial for you and for you to play your best tennis.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about strategy. This next question, I think you've kind of already answered, but I'll ask it anyways. So when you're preparing for a match, the question is, do you play to your strengths or the opponent's weakness? And it seems like you play to the opponent's weakness a little more. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yes, I think my strength
Yeah.
is to be able to play to the opponent's weakness.
Yeah.
So this is my strength. So if I have to answer that, it would be outplay more to the opponent's weakness,
What about as a
unless
team with you and
as
Jamie?
I think so. Jamie, Jamie's a very smart guy. Seeing that
Mm-hmm.
he's very good with his eyes on, watching a player and identifying, his the stuff that he struggles, some patterns and how he moves, and
Yeah.
so Jamie is very good on translating that into us, and I feel that I'm good on executing. So Jamie feels like the guy does, something not very good. I think I'm good
Mm-hmm.
at translating that to my game and say, okay, so let's go
Yeah.
there. Because I'm kind of flexible with that. Okay, we have to return down the line, 70% of the time. Okay, I can do that. I can adapt that. You
Yeah.
know, we gotta open the line more. So I can adapt. And I think Jamie's very good for me because he's got a great eye for that.
Mm-hmm. Um, so you've had a lot of success with Jamie. You won the U.S. Open with Pavic as well. Um, and they are both left-handed.
Yeah.
Uh, so talk a little bit about playing with a left-handed player. And I feel like a lot of the top, especially on the men's side, a lot of the top doubles teams. I
Yeah.
mean, the Bryan brothers, you have a lefty. Uh,
Yeah. The Woodies, yeah.
Zeballos is
Yeah.
left-handed.
Then lyrics, yeah.
So talk a little bit about playing with a left-handed player.
Yeah, I really like this combination.
Hmm.
I mean, to be honest, I when I stopped with Jamie and started playing with Mate, it wasn't because of his lefty. It was kind of just a coincidence. Mate is
Yeah.
it's an amazing player. Of course, being lefty helps his game style and everything, but I asked Mate to play because he was just a pure amazing player. Okay, and lefty was a bonus as well.
Sure.
But I really like this combination. I think you give uh, a different angle on everything that you do
Hmm.
for the opponents. So that it makes life tougher. You always kind of adjusting something. So you're
Hmm.
never really playing the same thing, when you have two righties or two lefties. Oh, so for me, I think it's a great combination. And also, I think when you have a right lefty combo, it's a little bit easier to protect your weakness
Hmm.
as a team.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And with Mate, you did you return on the ad side there as well?
Yeah,
You did.
at
Okay.
side as well. Mate prefers the deuce.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's funny because two lefties, but completely different game style.
Yeah.
Mate is way more aggressive than Jamie. Jamie's way more the strategy player. Mate is a very powerful player. So
Hmm.
Mate is a guy that he's got to focus on his game because when his game is on, he wins the match on his own. It doesn't
Right.
matter what the opponents are doing. So he's got an amazing serve, aggressive returns. He's a young, fast, athletic guy.
Yeah.
So very different on how to play with Mate and how to play with Jamie. But great to
Hmm.
have lefties on my side.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so with serving, so earlier I was watching I have some film on a bunch of doubles matches, and I looked up some film that I had on y'all's matches, and I rewatched a lot of the US Open final last year. And I think you served and stayed back two, maybe three times in the whole match.
Yeah.
They were both second serves, and they were both in the deuce court to Joe Salisbury,
Yeah.
and both times Jamie was moving right. So
Yeah.
how do you think about deciding? It seems like it's rare for you, anyways, but how do you think about deciding when to serve and volley versus serve and stay back?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, history with my serve is it's crazy. I've changed my serve so many times of my career. It's small adjustment, probably not
Yeah.
even uh, the normal person can even tell that I changed my serve. But me and my
Uh-huh.
coach always trying to improve something. I don't have an amazing serve. I think I have a decent serve, but it's not amazing. So I constantly try to improve, an extra 1, 2% that could help me on
Sure.
serving better. And I think with time, depending on, the adjustment that I had on my serve, because I don't use my legs at all, as you probably know, on my serve. I serve a lot with my arm and just, upper body. Different positions on not positions, directions to run. I feel like I am really slow on getting there. So it's easier for me to wait back instead of playing a very, very difficult first volley. I prefer to kind of hit the first one and try to come in, or hit the first one and maybe have to, to rally from the back. And I feel confident that I can do that as well if I need. So eventually, sometimes some positions, I will do some serve and stay back, mainly because of that. I feel like I would be in a bad position on my first volley and as a team if I have to play that ball. And if something that I feel it's the best play for that moment, I feel confident enough that I can hit a couple of balls from the back.
Got it. Okay. And
But
what about?
it's more a combination of my serve and my movement after the serve not being good
Yeah.
on certain directions.
Okay.
Jamie, for example, Joe Salisbury. It's a guy that he's insane. His first volley is,
It's
of course,
fast.
he's very young. Guys, is so
Yeah.
athletic. So his first volley is always so close to the net. I've
Yeah.
never had that. So for me, I kind of have to work around and a strategy to kind of
Right.
cover a weakness that I have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both of the ones I saw were second serves. They were to the
Yeah,
deuce court, and Jamie was moving right, so you're covering the line.
yeah.
So just serve and volley on that, hitting a second serve to Joe is like it's probably a tough serve and volley, anyways. So that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
And also, I'm on the second serve because the way I toss, I'm not good running there.
Hmm.
So I usually fall too much this way. So I lose a
Okay.
lot of time. So it's almost better for me to just keep on going to the
Yeah. Yeah.
baseline, and hit a more normal shot.
Got it. Okay. Um. So also, with regard to serving, so talk a little about communication. When you're about to serve, what are you telling Jamie? You're telling him, I assume, location, irregular direction. Talk a little
Yeah,
bit about what you'll discuss before serve.
everything. I think most of the time the server will call the play on how he's feeling and what he thinks. Me
Hmm.
and Jamie, quite a bit, we kind of ask uh, each other on. Sometimes I'm serving and I'm like, okay, what do you think? What do you feel? I mean, because are you seeing something that I maybe didn't notice? Because so
Hmm.
many times I feel like, you were the net and I'm just looking at the guy and the guy's like, he's covering T a lot. So, okay, Jamie, the guy's moving T, he's cheating a little bit. Let's try to kind
Yeah.
of catch him on a wide serve, on a body forehand that he's moving that direction and he's going to get caught.
Yeah.
So, but most of the time it's how I'm feeling. Okay, I want to serve T, I want to play I, go back. I want to, if I have to play my first volley, I want to play for with my forehand and cross court.
Hmm.
But and then I feel like don't really know the other teams because it's them. But me and Jamie, we
Hmm.
talk quite often on that. Jamie would ask, Jamie, because he's a lefty and he works a lot with his serve, like he lost like the three quarters using the lefty. He
Hmm.
asks a lot, is this guy cheating? Is he moving? Is he no? So uh, I would say yeah. He's covering T way more. Okay, let's try kick wide, making hesitate a little bit. But
Yeah.
that's what we talk pretty much. Strategy doubles extremely important to anticipate, and the only shot that where it's gonna be, it's when you're serving. The rest it depends on reaction and where the opponent's gonna play the ball. So you can't really anticipate
Right.
that. You gotta be always in neutral position, ready to react.
Hmm.
And when when a guy's serving and when he's playing the ball, that's the time you
Yeah.
have to be in the right place and anticipate a shot.
Do you talk about like let's say you're serving in the deuce court and you say, all right, I'm going to serve T here, and you will do I formation and you go right. Do you tell him if you're going to hit like it's going to be a flat serve down the tee, or
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah, I
slide
do.
it, or okay? So you'll talk
Yeah,
about
I
this
do.
spin a little bit
Yeah,
as
I mean,
well.
I would say like Jamie hits three quarters 90% of the time,
Hmm.
and I hit flat 80% of the time.
Okay.
So if I'm gonna do something different, I tell him I'll go T serve kick. If I only
Mm-hmm.
say T serve, he knows it's usually my flat T serve. If Jamie
Okay.
says T serve, uh, I know it's his, the cutter, the lefty cutter.
Okay.
Uh, if he goes bomb, he will say, I'm going fast here. I say, okay, so I know it's not going to have a lot of, side action, but it's going to come faster.
Yeah.
Uh, Jamie also, Jamie has more variety on the serve than I do, so he will
Mm-hmm.
say more. For example,
Mm-hmm.
on the deuce, he goes a lot with the kick and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the slice. So he would say, kick.
Yeah.
So I know, the ball is going to be, the serve is going to be slower, but it's going to have more action towards the outside. And, I have to wait a little bit on how to move, not to give the guy a clue to what I'm doing. But I think it's
Right.
important to know because it makes a difference
Yeah.
on how early you're gonna move and where you're gonna go, and also the way the guy's gonna hit the ball. The guy's gonna hit a fast one, flat, or with a
Sure.
lot of spin up high that he's gonna have to control a bit more. The way the angle is gonna come. So I think everything counts, and every information that you can have helps you on your decision making and being on the
Yeah.
right place.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super important. Yeah, that's something I've like changed about my own game the last few years. Like I'll typically, just because I don't get to play as much tennis anymore, uh, I'll usually call more poaches on a more spinny serve because if they hit it flat, the return's going to come back with such pace, and I can't
Yeah,
always handle those volleys as well. So
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
I'll I'll communicate that a lot more with my partner.
Yeah, I think also, yeah, that really goes with your partner. So, for example, uh, Jamie, he's very good on creating stress when he's up there. So, a lot
Hmm.
of the times I play regular just because I know if I hit a good serve, Jamie, there's a good chance he will touch the ball. And if
Yeah.
he doesn't touch, I have to worry on that specific part of the court. And even
Hmm.
if it comes fast, I know where I have to be and what I have to play.
Yeah.
And some guys like me and Alex, we were a lot of, just creating different, plays to give the guys. We always playing different. So
Mm.
that was a big strength of me and Alex. We could play almost every game style because Alex was a guy that was very solid as well from everywhere in the court. So I think it
Got it.
also on that. So for example, on the ad side, I always played a lot of eye with Alex.
Hmm.
And when I started playing with Jamie, I played a lot of regular because I mean Jamie's lefty. He's got such a big reach. So
Yeah.
literally, when I made a good serve, the guy had so few. I mean, the very
Yeah.
small space to get
Right.
the ball past Jamie because the rest of the guy was touching. So it's either the guy creating something amazing or Jamie was touching the ball. So
Mm.
it really depends on who's your partner as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So what about returns? How do you think about returning? A lot of guys are serving and staying back, and I know you play a lot of against a lot of singles players who will play in the doubles draw as well. How do you think about returning against somebody who serves and stays back versus someone who serves and volleys?
Okay, so I think for me, I'm an consistent returner. I think the adjustment that I will do when the guy serves and stay back, I
Hmm.
will be a little bit more aggressive because I feel like I have to make a little bit more. Otherwise, if I just kind of make him play and he's got time to adjust and hit a big one on his first shot, we are in trouble. It's tough for Jamie to put pressure, and he can have he can hit a heavy shot. If I'm playing
Mm.
someone that serves and volley, I feel like okay, I gotta make this guy play a low first volley, and then Jamie will create a lot of stress and put a lot of pressure. If
Got
I
it.
don't do that against someone that's serving and stay back, and the guy's able to, I mean, these guys from the back, they're so good and they hit the ball
Yeah.
so hard that you
Yeah.
gotta create something more. But
Hmm.
also, I know that usually his net player, it's also not a doubles guy, so he's not putting a lot of stress on me as well. So I
Sure.
know what I have to do. So pretty much, I'm gonna have to make my cross court return with a little more pace and then work on that. Doubles teams, they do a lot of plays. So I got to be ready with my eye on what to put to see movement. So
Hmm.
different stress and just different way of returning on against singles guys. Most of the time, I'm just worrying about returning, how to hit the ball, not about
Hmm.
movement. But also against singles guys and guys that serve and stay back, we want to create stress at the net player if we feel that he's uncomfortable there being the
Yeah.
target. So those are the two adjustments that I might do.
Okay. What about the lob return? How do you decide to incorporate that? Or is there teams you use it against
Uh,
more? Or
for me, it's pretty much inexistent. I don't have this return. It's not
I
part
saw
of my game.
I saw you hit one, I think, in the US Open final that I
Yeah, it's
watched.
probably the only one I hit in 2021. So
Okay.
I hit two lobs a year, unless it's a reaction or a stretch.
Okay.
But if I have it here, I will hit the ball. So I trust my return. I take it early. I have short swing, so for me difficult, and I don't really have this a good feel on the lob return.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave that. I'll leave everything for Jamie. He's the
Okay.
he's the king of that.
We'll have him on the show next time and ask him about that.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything that y'all do differently in tiebreakers? Do you try to talk a little more, or do you change your strategy? Anything that changes?
Uh, I think for me, one thing I'll do different uh, in tie breaks is I think when you're playing a normal game, especially in the Grand Slams with Ed,
Hmm.
you have room to make a mistake.
Hmm.
So, on the tie break, that 1 point that you lose in a serve, it could cost you the breaker.
Sure.
So I will play my most consistent and effective play that day. That's
Hmm.
usually my adjustment. So I wouldn't go, I mean, during a game, I can maybe start being super aggressive. The first 2 points, I'll go for a bomb,
Yeah.
serve, and an ace. And then all of a sudden, okay, it didn't really work. I played 2 second serves, still have 30. Okay, time to go percentage and make a first serve and try to get back. I mean,
Yeah.
if I start a break like this and all of a sudden I lose 2 points, it might be over. We're down,
Right.
7-2. So this is probably my adjustment. If that day my bomb serve is on, 75% and I'm winning 95% of the points, I will
Yeah.
go bomb.
Yeah.
But if that's not the case, I will go with my, most successful play that day. I think
Hmm.
that's the adjustment that I will go. I think this is more for me. I think Jamie is a very percentage player throughout the match. So he does a lot of plays with percentage. So he tends to keep his same uh, uh, same pattern, I would say, during the breaker.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So it seems like a little bit, don't take quite as many unnecessary risks in
Yeah,
the
I'm a
tiebreaker.
guy
Yeah.
that I've always took a lot of risk when I'm serving on a game
Hmm.
because I always felt that okay, if it's going in, I'm winning fast and getting
Yeah.
that done. And if it's not really going in, I can adjust and still have time to get
To
back
come
in the
back.
game.
Yeah.
Okay. And I take the risk of losing my serve because of that here and there. But I
Yeah.
prefer to play this way.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy that in breakers, I have to adjust that if it's not really working, taking a lot of risk.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, last two questions, and then I want to ask a few kind of rapid fire questions. Is there a player or team on tour that you feel like, for whatever reason, you just match up really well against? And every time you see them in the draw and you're about to play them, you're like, I feel good about this matchup.
I think that there is. I mean, don't have anyone here in my head, but there is both ways.
Yeah.
There's a guys, some guys who just for some reason they're just a nightmare, and there's no really explanation for that. But he
Yeah.
just feels like he reads you all the time and gets you and plays
Uh-huh.
better, and vice versa. And I think this is a huge part of the sport that people don't really pay attention on and see how big is that is matchups, because
Mm-hmm.
literally I'm playing the semifinals of a Grand Slam, and there's a guy that I hate to play and there's a guy that I love to play, but when they play, it's 50-50. So basically, I'm an 80% favorite against this guy and my 80% underdog against the other team. And that plays a big part of winning a slam or, winning a big tournament.
Sure.
But yes, there always is, both ways, guys, that for some reason it's just a nightmare one way or the other.
Yeah. You can't share any names that maybe you struggle against?
Well, I struggle against. I'm gonna say. I mean, it's easy to say Nestor, the Bryant, but
Yeah.
it's not because of the game style. It's just because they are, unreal
Because
tennis players, and
everybody struggles against them.
everybody struggles
Yeah.
against them. But
Yeah.
Lodra, I could never beat the guy. Always got me.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I have to think on that. I'll come back to
It's
you.
it's okay. That's
Yeah,
that's enough. All
yeah.
right, so let's dive into these rapid fires. What is your favorite tennis book?
Favorite tennis book? I don't think I ever read a tennis book. I don't remember.
Really?
I'm not a book guy.
Wow.
I like short information. So I'm
Uh-huh.
more like of a video talk or reading an article or something like this. So
Okay. Got it. Okay. Do you have a favorite non-tennis book?
non-tennis book. I'm not a book guy.
Let's
Let's
say
go to movies and
favorite movie.
documentaries.
Favorite movie.
I mean, favorite movie, I would say overall would be The Usual Suspects. I think
Okay,
this is
yeah.
my favorite movie, but there's a lot of movies on that
Yeah.
category that I really like. But if I have to say one, I would say that's the movie that it kind of caught me more.
Yeah. Yeah, good choice. What's your favorite tournament?
Favorite tournament would be US Open.
Um, what is your favorite tennis story?
I think my favorite tennis story being me, the person in the story, or any story, tennis story.
Either one.
I mean, I think for me, my favorite tennis story is, getting in as an alternate at French Open and reaching the semifinals and almost winning the tournament. I think this is number one. I mean, winning slams and stuff, a little bit different, of course, in the emotions, but I
Yeah.
think that was a crazy moment and a big change on my tennis career. I think my favorite tennis moment would be 97 Google winning the French Open,
Hmm.
uh, because of a lot of things, for what the way he did it, for that time, the way we're consuming the sport and watching on TV, and the way the information was getting back, and listen to that, that guy, I remember him, he used to play, he's in Paris French Open third round,
Yeah.
and everything that kind of happened on those 2 weeks and also after that. So I think my favorite tennis moment would be that Guga 97 French Open win.
Yeah. So, last question. How can we make pro doubles more popular?
I think uh, exposure. I think this is number one.
Uh-huh.
It's gotta be on TV. People's gotta be able to watch that, and you gotta be able to make that more visual.
Hmm.
Long conversation, that is not really a rapid question,
Yeah,
but
it
I think,
is.
yeah, I think this is number one, giving the fans and the people the ability to follow your favorite doubles player.
Yeah.
Really difficult to follow someone when you can only watch them when they're playing a big tournament. So
Yeah.
I think this is key.
Yeah. We're working on it. We're gonna try to get it on Tennis
Yeah,
Channel and all the networks more often
yeah.
than it is. Awesome, Bruno. So this was a ton of fun. Any final requests of the audience?
Well, no, just keep enjoying doubles. I think, I mean, it's an amazing game. I think, Will, it's very nice to be part of this podcast because I feel big part of enjoying doubles is understanding what's going on. I think a
Yeah.
non-doubles fan uh, doesn't really understand a
Mm-hmm.
fast put away volley, how difficult it is. When the
Right.
guy clocks a return and you see a guy like Jamie, playing an amazing volley out of, extremely fast reaction. When you
Yeah.
see it on TV, it looks just a normal volley. When you
Mm-hmm.
know and you understand tennis, you see how tough that volley is, how amazing and how much skill you need to have to execute that
Mm-hmm.
shot. So I think a big part of growing doubles is educating the consumer about how doubles is played and how difficult it is to produce certain shots. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's very nice to have someone like you talking about doubles and strategy and all the shots and everything that goes around, because I think educating the fans is a big part of getting them more interest and really appreciating how nice certain plays and certain shot is, and making that way more fun for them to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of fun to study it. So thanks
Yeah.
again, Bruno, for coming on, and thanks everyone for listening. I'll include links to everything in the show notes and talk to you next week. If you want to become a smarter doubles player and start winning more matches, then join the Tennis Tribe Doubles Strategy newsletter. Every single Thursday, I'll send you a new doubles tip or tactic that you can use in your very next match. And when you join, you're going to get a free guide on how to play with more confidence and start dominating at the net in doubles. My name's Will. I'm the founder of the Tennis Tribe, and over the last 5 years, I've worked with players at every level of the game, from USTA 3.0 players all the way to Division I college programs, as well as some of the top 10 doubles players in the world. And on Thursdays, with this strategy newsletter, I share that knowledge and advice that I've gained over the years with you. So to sign up, you can go to thetennistribe.com. And again, you'll get that free net play guide when you join.